guess now's as good a time as any, Nick. So let me do this. To the creators and actors and actresses and the minds behind Insidious, I'd like to formally apologize. I was a little bit too quick. I did not realize what else was coming out this year, and you are not the worst movie of the year. It is in fact Expend4bles, and I apologize for not giving you a chance knowing that other movies were coming out. So, speaking of apologies, when it comes to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I'd like to apologize for absolutely nothing.
Sound, speeding, camera, rolling. Scene 32, take 303, mark.
Welcome to Take 303, powered by 4-Way Media, the podcast with the guy who knows a lot about film.
And his friend.
I'm Nick Molinari.
I'm JP Brooks. We're talking everything film and television, and today we are talking about Face Off and Expend4bles, or Expend4bles, if you're cultured.
But first, in cinematic news. Have you seen the movie Brightburn?
No.
Well, there was a movie called Brightburn that came out a few years ago.
Is it about the sun?
No, it is not. It was a darker take on the Superman origin.
Okay.
James Gunn was at the helm of this project, and basically, like, same idea. Kid comes down from the heavens, from space, in a spaceship, has the red cape and everything. The kryptonite still exists, and everything is exactly the same thing as Superman, except he's not a good guy.
He's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy, and it's a kid. So the kid starts developing the powers and starts going on like a horror rampage throughout this new Smallville, and that's what Brightburn was about.
Sounds like The Boys before The Boys.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. They announced a sequel after 4 years. The only reason I bring this up is because they're planning to bring this into production through the use of AI.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not sure what that
in what context, yeah.
Possibly the script, maybe some of the effects.
The script.
Yeah. So this is the scary part of AI.
I mean, now's a bad time to be on strike, because if this goes well, the writer's strike is done for.
So if this actually takes off and they use ChatGPT to do a full feature-length script and put it into theaters, the writers...
I mean, listen, a script is a lot. It's a good chunk of it. But at the same time, too, you know as well as I do, you can have the world's greatest script. If you don't put the right shots together and you make it silly, you get the wrong actors, you know, it can still fall apart. It's an important piece, a central piece, but it's not everything.
It's also a slippery slope kind of situation where after a certain amount of time, if this becomes commonplace, the art of screenwriting will die.
It'll be a dying, less people will look into it, but I still think human beings are great storytellers, so...
Well, I'm not saying like in our generation. I see this as like a few hundred years in the making. Where you ever see Idiocracy?
Of course.
That.
Yeah. Now they're saying Idiocracy is like too on point. It got bad reviews. I always kind of liked the movie, but...
Do you know who wrote Idiocracy?
I do not.
The same guy that brought you Silicon Valley.
Ah, okay. Nice. By the way, you mention James Gunn every podcast, and every podcast I ask you, who's James Gunn?
One day he'll know.
He's Ant-Man, right?
No.
No? He's not the Ant-Man guy?
No, he's the Guardians guy.
Oh, right. Guardians. James Gunn is the Guardians guy.
Yeah, and today we're talking about 1997's Face Off, directed by John Woo, starring Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. I'm a fan, so I have the DVD, so JP is just going to read off the back of the box.
John Travolta stars as FBI agent Sean Archer, doing the unthinkable to stop the elusive terrorist Castor Troy, aka Nicolas Cage. Watch the bullets fly and the action explode as master action director John Woo from Broken Arrow detonates the screen and redefines the action genre like never before.
Spot on description. Because if there's any movie that movies, it is this.
This movie's so hard.
Initial thoughts?
This movie is out of control, and here's what I'm gonna say about this film. It's paced pretty good. There's so many good things to say about this movie, and yet I don't want to say anything good about it. That's the problem. It's paced pretty well. I think out of all the movies we've watched this far, I know how I feel about a movie. I have no idea how I feel about this movie. This is the toughest one where I'm just, this could be anything. Genuinely, from a 1 to a 5.
Just for some context, we're filming this not on our usual days. We're filming it on Thursday, but today is also John Woo's birthday, the director.
Yeah.
Do you know any of his films?
Well, Broken Arrow. Thank you,
per the
cover
box.
box. Well, he says he's a master of action director. So what famous action movies would I know that he's done?
Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. The Killer is probably his best, most iconic film.
This sounds like 90s, 80s stuff.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. And then Hard Boiled was another big one. You might know his video game, though, Stranglehold.
No. I think this is my first time with the John Woo product, so.
Basically, all you need to know is that he's a big fan of gun fu, which is kung fu, but with guns.
Is that why everybody jumps to the side, double pistol shooting, and it's so funny, but I like it?
Sliding and rolling and spinning.
Yeah.
Better than Jason Statham's rolls that we saw today.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's why everybody's jumping around. That's why there's a lot of slow motion.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of slow motion.
He's battling the Matrix for slow motion.
Yeah,
this guy.
you would have thought he was influenced by the Matrix, and he was probably partially influenced by the Matrix, but this was something that he was doing before the Matrix. Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, two iconic actors, both at a time of a resurgence in their careers, and they choose this film.
I have, when we get to performances, I have a really interesting, I think maybe an interesting take.
We can start with performances because this is, ironically, this is an action movie, and we should start with like action set pieces. But realistically, this is a performance piece too, because this is just high cinema.
This is all performance for me. This is nothing but the performances. I mean, the actions, like the first one when they're, the plane one is pretty cool. I kind of liked it. Even for its time, I feel like it still holds up pretty well. When they're chasing on the plane, like, except the helicopter shenanigans is it's like a little, all right, you know?
No, for me, the scene that didn't hold up in terms of action was the church sequence. When they have like 8 different people going like this with guns.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all aimed at each other. And then they're like, well, now's the time to go. And they all start shooting. But then you see none of the fight. You just see a bunch of close-ups and then some doves. That's a big John Woo thing. The white doves flying through the fight sequences. I was just watching it and I was like, what is even happening right now? But like, I'll give it to him. It was cool.
I like the boat chase too. They really chase in everything in this movie. There's a vehicle, you're getting chased in it, and it's crazy. And for my normal recap, I would have mentioned that there's a terrorist who's trying to kill.
Yeah, I feel like the box didn't do a good justice to the film. But just to sum up, it's Freaky Friday action style.
Yeah, it's Freaky Friday action. John Travolta's son is killed by this terrorist who's trying to kill him. Some time passes by. John Travolta finally tracks him down, but rather than kill him, has to use his face to uncover the terrorist's latest plot. And so he literally swaps faces. That is not a figure of speech. Off. Pretty gross still for its time, too, by the way. I was kind of impressed at how they did everything, considering it's 1997.
Face Off knew what it was.
100%.
And it was everything. Because Face Off easily transitions between extremely serious action film, high art melodrama, mixes in all these different genres all at the same time, and it works.
The reason it works, it really comes down to, I think, very good pacing. Dare I say decent storytelling. And
I cried during this movie.
Yeah, what part?
Twice.
Dude, you've been crying a lot. Everything okay inside?
I'm fine.
What parts did you cry at?
I cried during the time when Nicolas Cage is recounting. Well,
John Travolta.
I feel like this is Tropic Thunder, where the guy is playing the guy disguised as another guy. When Nicolas Cage is in the hospital and he's describing to the wife about their first date.
Okay. So Nicolas Cage, the face of Nicolas Cage, who's really John Travolta's character.
Exactly.
Okay. John Travolta's character, Nicolas Cage's face, is describing to his wife their first date. You cried during that?
I teared up, and then I always cry at the ending.
With the boy?
Yeah, when he finally gets his, like, kind of like his whole family.
Do I have no emotions? That's not what... Stuff like that never makes me cry.
Do you want to talk about it?
No. I'm good.
But
friendship makes me cry.
Performance-wise, What are we thinking here?
All right,
There's
so
so
this
much.
the first 30 minutes of the movie, I was just WTF, what the hell's going on? I don't know, but I buy into it. Like I think the movie gets so ridiculous in the
Did
beginning.
you know anything about this movie
No,
going in? Okay.
knew zero. But then I realized as soon as plastic surgery, I go, there's no way, there's no way they did it. When they finally switch faces. And John Travolta is playing the bad guy, and Nicolas Cage is now playing the good guy. They're really good at it. When Nicolas Cage is playing the terrorist, he's so bad. And when John Travolta's playing the good guy, awful. Like, when John Travolta gets mad and sassy at the people at work, it just feels so pathetic. It's like, come on, guys. Like,
What a cuck.
What a cuck. It's so true. And then Nicolas Cage is just obviously crazy over the top, but I really liked when Nicolas Cage was the good guy. He was like, I felt for him. I was rooting for him.
There's so many things they have to layer in between the mannerisms, the way they talk to people, what they call them, like how he refers to the brother as bro. Little things that, similar to a murder mystery, that every single line counts when they're trying to play each other. And it works so seamlessly because I think they dialed it up so much in the beginning, so that way you have a complete 180 and they can kind of play themselves in a sense. And they're also trying to do impressions of each other.
And they're pretty good, I have to say. When John Travolta's not trying to be John Travolta, he's trying to be Nick Cage, he nails it.
And then Nicolas Cage. Like, we give Nicolas Cage I don't think we give Nicolas Cage so much shit, but the world gives Nicolas
Cares
Cage
way
so
too
shit.
much about it, yeah.
He's so good in this.
He really is. I think he's way better than Travolta.
Oh, yeah.
It absolutely kills.
I really do believe he took his face.
I like there's only one time where when Nick Cage is playing John Travolta's character. So now we've made the face swap. John Travolta now has the face of Nicolas Cage. Sean Archer has the face of Castor. The only time where he's still Nicolas Cage, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Yeah. So that's the only time I don't believe he's Sean Archer. But after that, I don't understand how this movie works, but it does. And I don't want to admit that it works. I was trying to think about it. No, I was entertained. There's no way I wasn't entertained.
So we could say that definitely the late 90s, this is 1997, the action stands up.
As far as this movie goes, yeah, I was impressed. If they could cut down on a couple of like side jumping double pistols, like shootouts, that would be great. I love that Nick Cage has like a pack of chewing gum and 2 golden pistols. And
the most egregious shootout was the one with the mirror.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
When they're like, I guess we got to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and they're both just like aimed at each other and they take a shot, and then for some reason they're spinning.
Yeah.
They're doing all these, they're doing so much that it felt like Revenge of the Sith again.
I just don't know why one guy, when they're both like aiming at the mirror, just doesn't go like this and just takes a shot. And done. And you're good. John Travolta flies 15 feet back after nobody pushing him. It looks like a boulder fucking smashed into this guy. It's such a ridiculous movie, and yet I'm all for it.
Did they trade their dicks also? Question mark. Need to know.
Yeah, because they make it a point that they're going to also
change their body.
Yeah, plastic surgery, the bodies too. Yeah, because this is like one of those B-movie plot, but with A-list actors.
Partially sci-fi.
This feels like a Sci-Fi Channel movie, and I'm glad you brought up sci-fi already, because I'm going to be talking about Sci-Fi Channel movies in relationship to our next movie, The Expend4bles. So stick around for that. I think the problem with movies like this is they spend a lot of time developing characters and boring you. This movie really makes character development really tight and
organic.
Organic, and there's enough action where you're not bored the entire time.
Honestly, it's probably only 2 hours because of the slow motion.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Favorite scenes?
You know what's really nerve-wracking is when John Travolta, who's now Castor, who's now the terrorist, when he's home in the house, I'm like actually nervous the entire time. So I think I really enjoyed the fact that I felt that there were real stakes in this movie. So I liked all the scenes with him at the house. So I think my favorite scene was when he beat the kid up, like the boyfriend from That 70s Show, who made a cameo.
for exactly the reason why he's in trouble right now?
Yeah. Oh, is that a real thing?
Yeah, he's a rapist.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got 30 to life right now.
Oh.
Moving on.
Moving on. So I'm gonna pick a different favorite scene. I guess the other favorite scene I like is when Nicolas Cage's face, now John Travolta's character Sean Archer, watching him develop relationships with the bad guys, quote unquote. And so that whole fight scene when they get raided, I really like that. When John Travolta is getting raided, and he so Sean Archer with the face of Nicolas Cage now is like protecting the bad guys and treating them better than the original caster does. I think I just like that, him getting hunted down and him being the hunted, are the terrorist with the face of the FBI agent, caster now being the FBI agent, and him getting to play the role. So it's really interesting to see them play each other, and I really like that hunt down scene. That's really cool. What about you?
I think I'm a little all over the place. I love like the boat sequence is just amazing, especially when the stunt doubles are clearly not them. So great. Who knew that, 20 years later we'd be clamoring for just to see a real vehicle? Who would have thought? But
Expend4bles. Here we come.
one of my favorite scenes is when here we go. Caster Troy first wakes up from the coma and he has no face. And it's very similar to like the 1989 Batman when Joker is getting his first kind of like face fixed up and stuff like that. You actually have a sense of terror.
Yeah.
From when this guy emerges and he has no face and he's just smoking a cigarette. And it's like scary. So I think that which is really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's because they're not showing it, and they're not jump scaring you with it. They're just, like, he doesn't have a face, it's terrifying, and they're slowly building and creeping. So well done.
Anything not working for you in this movie?
Basically, the first 30 minutes where Cage has to play a psycho-terrorist. He's just too much of a psycho-terrorist. Am I wrong? I don't believe the relationship with the brother in prison.
Like, how so? Like, you don't believe that they were, like...
I just don't believe they're close. Something about the storyline of Nicolas Cage's brother and him, like...
I think they did enough in the beginning where they were like, oh, he doesn't fly without his brother, and he's always tying his shoes and stuff like that. And
yeah. I just think if someone's not giving a good performance, I just don't like the brother. For whatever reason. That's just my thing. The kid actor at the end is really bad for the young boy, but it is what it is.
While reading reviews on Letterboxd, I saw one that made me chuckle. It proposed that there should be a face-off every decade, but with two actors in a similar light to Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, and they would have to play disguise themselves as the dude playing the other dude. One of them they proposed was Will Smith and Chris Rock.
That'd be hysterical. That would be hysterical. I'd love to see Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson.
So that was going to be my question. Who would you pick right now to face off?
Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson for sure.
All right, so final thoughts and ratings.
Yeah, final thoughts and ratings, because...
I'll go first, so that way you can go first for Expend4bles.
Thank God.
It's a fun time with Face Off. They take his face off. It's just so iconic, so very 90s. The action is awesome. If you're into John Woo movies, it's probably one of his best. I definitely rank it maybe in his top 3.
Really?
John Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of his best.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've only seen like 5 of his movies. So it's easy to put top 3.
Yeah.
I think it's just a really fun, awesome popcorn flick. The performances surprisingly take you away where you think that these people actually did change faces. It's one of those body swap movies where you actually really believe it. So out of body swap movies, top 2, right above Lindsay Lohan's Freaky Friday. And I'm just... So no surprise here, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 just because it just makes me happy.
I couldn't tell you where to start with this movie. It's everything, and yet it is nothing. It is unique, yet I've seen it before, yet I haven't. And that's not true. I've never seen anything like this movie. There will never be anything like this movie, no matter what you can say about it. It's amazing how it takes so many different genres, and yet it is its own thing. It is confusing for
I'm
how...
sorry, did you write notes?
No, why?
Why do you keep looking down?
Because I'm staring at this cover box trying to gather inspiration. I have no. I'm just like staring at
I was
Nicholas.
like, did this man come prepared? Like,
No, Nicolas Cage and John Travolta are just both pointing a gun at each other, and I don't know which one is which in the shot. That's what's amazing. You know, I'm not an action flick kind of guy, but there's just something about this movie. I couldn't tell you what works about it. It just does. Have a laugh, have a good time, and then actually care about some characters and watch Nicolas Cage probably give, in my opinion, his best performance ever. I don't know if I'm watching it again, but it's a 4 out of 5 for me.
do you remember the scene where the mom takes the guns away from the little kid and says, "Don't play with these. They're not toys," and then chucks them across the room?
Yeah, that was...
Yeah. Makes you overlook those things.
Oh.
But what we can't overlook is how Expendables made us feel. Expendables 4. You wouldn't know that's 4 because they snuck the 4 inside the title. They thought they were sneaky. You'll find out more about this after the commercial break.
We want to thank today's sponsor, Just a Toothbrush. That's right. This toothbrush isn't going to do anything for you but brush your teeth. It's not going to revolutionize your dental experience. It's not going to change anything about your teeth. It's just going to brush them. People at Just a Toothbrush, the creators, have made it their mission and effort to sell a product that does exactly what it's going to do and nothing more than that. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to change your relationships. Your ex-wife still hates you. Your kids still don't appreciate you. And you're still not respected by anyone you love. And if you buy this toothbrush, that will all remain the same. That's right. Even if you are the writer for Expend4bles 4, nothing about your life will improve by buying this toothbrush. You will not become a better writer. In fact, nothing good will happen when you buy this toothbrush. Just buy a toothbrush. It's made with the lowest quality bristle and the worst splintered wooden handle possible. So that way when you hold it, you remember products are products. Don't buy it. It's not worth your time. You're not going to feel better after you buy it. When you use the promotion code REVOLUTIONIZE, you will actually increase the cost by 20%. That's right. You can spend 20% more money and feel better about your purchase when you use the code REVOLUTIONIZE. So start brushing your teeth and feel nothing different after you buy it. Try to fill that empty void in your life with something else, but it won't be this toothbrush. This episode is powered and sponsored by Fort Wayne Media. Whether it's a special event, your wedding day, or maybe a small business looking to make an advertisement or commercial, Fort Wayne Media is the obvious choice. They turn everyday life into a cinematic experience. When you want to capture those special moments, look no further. Stop what you're doing. Check out fortwaymedia.com, book an appointment today, and don't miss out on another chance to get what you want in front of the big screen. Whether it is expert videography or photography, Fort Wayne Media can match exactly what you're looking for. Fort Wayne Media is known for helping out small businesses and everyone reach their dreams. Sign up today.
And we're back. And before we hop into Expendables, let's talk about this week's What If. Inspired by one of the cast members of the Expendables, Sylvester Stallone turned down several roles in history, one of which was John McClane in Die Hard. How do you think that would have turned out?
So there's something about Stallone. Is it bad that I just, because of how he talks, it's kind of how like I'm biased against people with the Brooklyn accent. It's a bias I have. Like if you have the accent, like you don't sound as intelligent, right? It's not true, but that's just how I think of it. You know what I mean? And I feel bad because that's not true because, like, his Rambo character, I think, is like a war genius.
I think he's also boxed in, not necessarily maybe because of his voice,
Yeah.
but I guess because of his, like, his build. Like,
Yeah.
he really has a hard time jumping out of the action genre. And Die Hard is an action movie, yes. You know, guy trapped in one location, JP's favorite kind of thing. And he has to just, like, you know, weave his way around all the bad guys and make it to the end. That's not something that Sylvester Stallone has done, I think, in any of his roles.
Yeah. I mean, if you count the first Rambo, he's in one town. But one thing, I did not see Die Hard until a couple of years ago. I had never seen any of the movies. Another series of movies I have not seen. You're welcome, Nick. Just crushing your soul every day. But I really liked it. And
Have you seen all of them?
No, I've only seen the first one.
All right, so I'll tell you this. Die Hard 1, 2, 3, and 4, iconic. Do not watch the fifth one.
I think, yeah, Stallone would have brought a very more muscular and, like, ripped guy. And I like that McClane is just a cop. Because you can be...
He's the everyday man.
Yeah, the everyday man. I think he brings that element, especially Bruce Willis brings that. And Bruce Willis also has a lot of range as an actor. I had never heard the yippee-ki-yay line. Like, so many iconic lines in movie history that people quote, I didn't realize came from this movie. to hear Bruce Willis say it and the way he delivers it, I think some of those lines don't become as iconic.
Because imagine Sylvester Stallone.
Yippee-ki-yay. You know,
Yeah, it just wouldn't be
it
the
just
same.
wouldn't work. So I'm glad that he turned it down because, you know, Bruce Willis did a great job. You know what I'd like to see as a John McClane, who I think would actually do a good job? And I'm only saying it because we've seen him in The Departed. Leonardo DiCaprio. I'd like to see it as a John McClane. But he just can't, like, sleep with every woman. That's his thing. He needs to be a little less attractive, and I think we get it.
Yo, you saw the trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
He's still killing it.
He's still killing it.
The question is, would Die Hard have been a hit with Sylvester Stallone at the helm?
And, like, just him talking to the terrorists, I could just be like the Russian terrorist. Can you repeat that? What?
One more time?
No, say one more. Translator. Does anybody speak Stallone?
What's funny is Alan Rickman doesn't have that accent at
Yeah,
all.
I know.
Also, another reason to like Die Hard.
That's Alan Rickman as the bad guy?
Yeah, Severus Snape.
That's right.
He was a stage actor for a little while.
Okay.
And then in his 40s, he got the Die Hard role, and that landed him all of his other iconic roles after it.
Good for him.
Moving on to Expend4bles 4.
Let's cook today. We're cooking.
All right, before I tell you who is in this movie, JP, I got to tell you a few things.
All right, let me hear him.
So you already know things are about to go down before we even read out the cast.
Yes,
The director is Scott Wall, who was put on a list of the 10 directors to watch.
What do you mean?
Top 10 directors to watch. The director of this movie was placed on that list in 2012.
What did he make?
I don't even know. At that point, he didn't make anything. But
Okay.
After that, he made Act of Valor.
No.
It was a war movie where they used real Navy SEALs.
Okay.
Need for Speed.
Didn't see it.
And that's all you need to know.
Okay.
And there are 3 writers responsible for this.
For this atrocity of Expend4bles 4, please.
So, yeah. If you thought who wrote this, it's who. And it stars Jason Statham, Sylvester Stallone, 50 Cent, Megan Fox, Megan Fox's nipples, Dolph Lundgren, Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais, Randy Couture, Jacob Scipio, Levi Tran, and Andy Garcia.
How do I explain such a movie? Such class. Expend4bles follows a group of military soldiers who blow stuff up when the government doesn't want anything to be tied to them. Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham take a job in Libya, hunting down a bad guy. When things go wrong and lives are lost, Jason Statham must resolve conflict. And that is this movie. And it is by far the worst movie of the year. One of the worst films I have watched in a very long time. I had to sit through Insidious and Expend4bles 4 this year. Nick, the podcast is coming to a hard close after this. If I see one more dog movie like this, I'm done. This is getting 5 woofs of dog shit.
Does it get a star for Megan Fox's nipples?
Oh man, it gets.
Because we need to talk about this. We're not being misogynist here.
For the record.
For the record, we are not being misogynist. There is a scene in this film where Megan Fox just walks out from a back room and everything is visible.
White tank top. You would think it's a wet t-shirt contest, but it's not.
It's the dead center of the frame, too.
Yeah.
So it's like right there. You're meant to see it. The cinematographer, the director, the writers, Megan Fox, the gaffer, the best boy, the caterer. They all knew what that shot was about.
Yeah. Man, it's been a while since Megan Fox has been in a movie that I've seen. And when it first started, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's Megan Fox. And then you looked at me and confirmed, but she has not been in the other movies. Is that?
Yeah, so let's take a quick look at the lore here. Expend4bles, you've never seen any of them, right?
No, it's the first one I saw. And apparently the other ones are somewhat better.
Yeah, I know you issued an apology at the beginning of this episode. I needed to apologize to you for what that was because none of the movies are like that. Some quick background. None of the movies really connect in a sense where they're building off of a larger story here. But basically, they're always on a mission. Sometimes there's a guy that comes back from their past who wants revenge. And there's usually like a strong lineup of B-listing action stars or A-listing action stars from the 80s and 90s So you had Sylvester Stallone, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme, you had Jet Li. There were talks that Jackie Chan was supposed to be in this movie. It didn't happen. Everybody was clamoring for Steven Seagal to jump in. He had a lot of problems with the producer. He never could get on. Wesley Snipes was in there. So anyone that was really in an action movie that was like really big during the 80s and 90s, they were in this film series. And it was really fun. There was a lot of tongue-in-cheek jokes where they make fun of each other. You know, they'll crack jokes about Jason being bald, that nobody understands what he's saying with his British accent. They talk about how Dolph Lundgren is kind of stupid, but then in real life he actually has a degree in chemistry, which is a real thing.
Who's Dolph Lundgren's character?
He's the guy with the wig.
Oh, the sniper?
Yeah.
Glasses, alcoholic.
That's Ivan Drago.
Oh, I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah, so a lot of them are also from Sylvester Stallone's, workings, like
the multiverse,
right.
The Stallone multiverse.
And everybody wondered why Carl Weathers was never in them. That's Apollo.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they always had somebody in there. So yeah. Oh, so you didn't even realize who that was the whole time.
Not the whole. So you mentioned like the tongue-in-cheek stuff and all the jokes, because that was there in the beginning, and I really liked like the first 20 minutes of this movie. I had like extreme hope. Really funny, not taking itself too seriously. It felt like I was watching a TV show of like the 50th season of military guys going to do
like a reunion special.
Yeah, it felt really fun. I'm like, I'm really, really enjoying
And that's the thing. That's what these movies were. And the first one was really good. And it was directed by Sylvester Stallone. The other ones, they started changing the directors. The second one, I think, was directed by the guy that did Con Air. So it was still pretty good. But then it just started getting weirder as it went on. The third one was PG-13. They got rid of all the blood. And the first one, the action looked really good. You know why? Because most of it was practical effects.
Well, Stallone's directing, I would imagine he wants practical.
That too. And it's just like I lost hope in the first few frames of this movie. I didn't even give it the first 20 minutes, even as a fan, because the CGI was atrocious. And I noticed this towards the third film, where they weren't getting real helicopters for some reason, and they started CGIing them. And like the beginning, they have that CGI helicopter, they have the CGI trucks, all the explosions aren't real, and I'm like,
the backgrounds and the actors are so bad.
The green screens, when people are just driving in a car and there's a green screen behind them, and it's so noticeable.
This is like, oh crap, I forgot the project's due tomorrow. Let me see what I can come up with. We talked about the Sci-Fi Channel before, and I really like. It's not even funny. Like, I want to laugh, but this was like a...
I mean, you were laughing a lot during this movie.
I was losing my shit during this movie. My hands were up in the air. What am I watching right now? But
you had the duck behind Chris that you were just like, I can't be laughing this loud at a theater. Like, do they know we're in a theater? I know I'm in...
But when I start laughing, I heard a couple people around us start laughing too, because they knew. I was a big fan of the Sci-Fi Channel growing up as a kid. 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, channel number.
Before they became Sci-Fi?
Sci-Fi, yeah. Boy, oh my gosh, totally forgot. And I really like those the B movies they used to run on the sci-fi stuff. I really kind of like those. But there was really bad CGI, really bad effects. But that was kind of the charm to it. And it's like a TV movie, it's a movie on TV. It's whatever.
Yeah, like everybody's in on the not necessarily a joke, but you know that this is a low budget film. Right. It's on TV on a Sunday afternoon.
And it's fine, and I don't mind those. I like watching those. I liked watching them. But this is, a full movie in the theaters, and I would say worse CGI than that. Like, really, the effects were awful. Even the gun effects. Did you see a lot of those?
Mm-hmm. They looked like those, those iPhone apps that had like the special effects that you could make your own movie.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Dude, I thought I was watching I thought they got the gun effects from like GoldenEye on the 64. That's how bad this. I mean, it's so disgusting. Like at some point, I thought I could literally see the green outline behind some of this actors in the scenes. The boat tying off to the other boat. That's literally an escape scene from a sci-fi movie on the Sci-Fi Channel.
To think that we just saw a movie from the 90s that had better action sequences than this.
Totally.
Because of the practicality of it.
Who edited this movie? This is one of the worst edited films I've ever seen. If they're not doing practical effects, why are movies so expensive to make?
Easier, faster, cheaper to tell the VFX team to just say CGI it in. And that's one of the big issues that's happening right now with Marvel.
They have to pump this stuff out. That's crazy. So, but that's what I mean. Is like, well, if that's the case, why don't you just hire more? But then if you have more people,
then more people, a stunt team.
Yeah, I see the issue.
Your insurance goes up.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's so sad because like I look at this movie and they literally just phoned it in. Expend4bles 4. We're just going to rely on the last 3 movies to get you to buy a movie ticket so we can make money because based on what I saw, they're going to make money for how little they put into this movie. It's so sad. The actors were probably the most expensive thing about this movie.
Yeah, I definitely see that's where the budget went. And speaking of the actors' performances, it's not even worth our time to talk about performances. Jason Statham's playing Jason Statham. Megan Fox is playing Megan Fox. 50 Cent is playing 50 Cent. They even played 50 Cent.
I did like that touch. That was funny. I was like, I knew it was going to come up at some point. I'm like, I really hope they play. Stallone's playing Stallone. The only person who I thought actually gave a performance, 3 of them, Ivan Drago. I thought his character seemed legit, mostly. He's probably the weakest of the 3 I'm about to mention. Then Clotted Ear Guy. I thought does a fine job. And then the new guy. I kind of liked him.
Well, some background here. One thing that didn't make sense is the new guy because he's the son of a character from the last movie who didn't die. So why not just bring him? And it was Antonio Banderas.
Oh, maybe they couldn't get him, so they have to make up a new character, right? That's probably what it was.
Megan Fox cost too much money. Who knows? But Antonio Banderas basically plays the exact same character that his son is. He's just the loud mouth, just talking all the time, just shouting off different things. So it was the exact same thing. I was like, I wish we just had Antonio. That would have been way better.
Well, I guess I also don't know him, so it's a lot easier for me to like him. Whereas, like, I know most of these other people.
But it's funny that you pick, like, the side characters. And 50 Cent is filling in for Terry Crews.
Yeah.
A different character, though.
Yeah.
And Randy Couture is always in the background. So it's surprising that you're pulling out him. Man, I could not make this movie out because I feel like it only had 3 scenes. Like that's what it felt like. It felt like there was the opening jarring fight sequence.
Well, let's go by locations. Libya.
Bar.
Which is used like 3 or 4 times.
Jason Statham's house.
Boat and dock in Singapore. Oh, wait a minute. I got a 6th one. Meeting room.
And that's the one when I turned to you and I was like, why are they even here? But
yeah, and then plane.
Room.
And then I guess, well, they probably used the same plane.
And the plane.
Yeah. 7. Okay. But really, you're right. There were so many things like, why are we watching this right now? Why is it happening? Why are characters saying lines right now that don't make any sense?
The scenes, just like similar to, I think, like Fast X, when you said like they don't last longer than a few seconds, really. Like they never go over a minute. It just really didn't stand out like a scene to me. So it really just felt like you had your opening sequence where they're fighting and everything. They first encounter the bad guy, then they're back home and they're sulking, and then they immediately just go to the boat, and that's it. That's the whole movie.
Yeah. We laugh at alcoholics trying to recover, and we also laugh at killing a man, an innocent person.
Yeah, that ending, it just didn't work. They abandoned a lot of the character work they did in the first few movies, and Dolph Lundgren's character too. Like they really just sidelined him. He was such a great character in the first few films, and you really fell for him. Like they talk about how he turned on his team in the first movie.
They referenced that, yeah.
Yeah, and then how he really became close with the team after that, and he had like a really good budding relationship with Randy Couture and Terry Crews. There was talk about all their weapons and how there was when the first movie came out, each character had a specific weapon set or skill set. Did you feel like that was a thing in this one?
No, they just mentioned the sniper once. Yeah, it didn't feel like there was real camaraderie, which I assume is probably one of the focal points. Based on what you're saying, that seems like it's a focal point of the others.
Yeah, the second one was just so great at achieving that. There were a lot of small scenes where they're actually talking to each other, and they talk about their past, workings, because they're all mercenaries. They talk about being in the war.
I was like ready to laugh a lot about this movie, and there is a lot to laugh at, but we're like just so disappointed and so like upset that our time was wasted.
Well, I'll tell you this. The motorcycle sequence
Oh my
itself.
God, insane.
by itself is the only reason why I would not put this as worst movie of the year, because that entertained me so much. Just to paint you a picture of what happens here.
We're on a boat. Jason Statham is trying to save his friends, when suddenly he's trapped in a corner and he busts open a crate. What does he find? A motorcycle. But Nick, what's special about this motorcycle?
It has machine guns on them.
But Nick, I don't know if you noticed these machine guns. They're just pointing things sticking out of the front windshield, and that's it. Where are the bullets? Where's the gun? Nothing. I have no idea how it
And
works.
JP, is he the only one with machine guns on his motorcycle?
No, there are other people with machine guns on the motorcycle, but they never shoot them.
No, they actually do shoot them, and even though they shoot straight and they are following him in a narrow hallway on a boat,
They drive around the entire boat on a motorcycle.
the whole boat.
The whole boat. Absolute
You
insanity.
can barely walk around the Intrepid on foot without bumping into something. They apparently drive a whole motorcycle up staircases, through hallways. They turn corners. They go on the surface of the boat, play a game of chicken with motorcycles and a plane in the middle.
What I love, what was so funny is at some point he's hiding on the motorcycle on the top deck of the ship. Right? He's hiding. And what do?
They drive slow to find him.
I would like to think that's like, it felt like as if seniors in a nursing home were playing tag on their scooters. I'm gonna get you. And then as soon as I go, and I knew it was gonna happen, I died laughing. This is where like I burst out.
I had a few giggles throughout the way,
Yeah.
but the motorcycle sequence,
You did-
I was dying.
broken because as soon as like I go, the way they were setting it up, you knew exactly. I'm like, they're gonna turn this corner and he's just gonna light them up. And that's exactly what he does. And then he has like, here's what's even crazier. He has this like face off with this guy. There's one guy left with a motorcycle and Jason Statham's got a motorcycle. And they're looking at each other from end to end. They cut between them at least 10 times. Back and forth, like,
It was like Taken 3. You ever see Taken 3?
no, I've only seen Taken one.
Oh man, I gotta
Maybe
paint
two.
you a picture about what happens in Taken 3.
Yeah.
There is a sequence where Liam Neeson is being chased through an alleyway,
Yeah.
and he hops a fence. And if you go on YouTube right now and type in Liam Neeson Taken 3 fence, is the first video. It is about 15 seconds long because there are 30 shots of my guy Liam hopping this fence, and they use every single angle. They cut back and forth. It takes them 15 seconds to hop a fence.
Yeah. What I find so funny is they've been shooting with these motorcycle guns, and as soon as it's one-on-one and they're directly pointing at each other, nobody fires a machine gun.
Nothing stopped him when you drove
Yeah.
through the cafeteria, still a narrow
Yeah.
driving path, and somehow the machine guns are shooting at the sides and getting everybody in the room.
My favorite part is anytime a villain pulls up on one of our guys, they just don't shoot him. But as soon as they're far away, they start shooting. Anytime someone gets close, they're like, it's time for a knife. How convenient. Dude, there's one girl who's just walking around with a metal whip and just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I'm Lash. Whoosh. Like, it's crazy.
I love how Megan Fox had to put on more clothes for her sex scene.
Oh, it's so true. This movie's wild. And then they try to build up this great mysterious, other partner that used to work with our main guy, Barney. And I was done at that point. Like, we're 45 minutes in. I'm just done with this movie
I
already.
was so mad at that because I thought somebody important, somebody famous was going to be under the hood.
Yeah. It's just a person. I like that before any two people do anything, they have to look at each other and nod. In this movie, they do that at least 4 times. And then like the guy's like, if I go and fight, I don't know if I can come back to myself. Instantly breaks that. The guy's been not been doing anything for 20 years, and they don't even address it. He's just like, all right, gotta go get my boat. I'm back.
And then he just, he already has his fight makeup already at the ready.
The terrible fake out early on for a character, like, and I kind of figured it, and I forgot about it. Also, since I didn't know, all the air assault stuff is done by Barney. Is that his thing? He's the helicopter guy?
No. He's the knife guy.
Stallone's character?
Yeah, that his big thing was the Bowie knife. That
Yeah.
was one of his iconic things, and the brass knuckles. Christmas was always knives also, but he was really good at throwing them. There was always a throwing contest. Terry Crews's character always had the largest gun. Dolph Lundgren was always like the airhead and sniper. Randy Couture was also another fighter because he's a UFC fighter in real life.
Wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody had their own skill set. That's pretty cool. But in this one, it just doesn't matter. Things just happen. It's one of those movies where we just go from thing to thing. We cut to things that don't matter. We have lines.
I need to talk about the worst editing cut I've ever seen in my life, which was the first scene where they show the bad guy approaching the general's headquarters, and then it cuts, and then it just does a whole garage sequence with Sylvester Stallone, and he just pulls out of the garage, and then Expend4bles on the titles, and then it has a whole thing with him and Jason Statham, Megan Fox.
That was funny. That was nice.
And then they cut back to the bad guy who still didn't make it upstairs to the general.
So random.
And I'm like, it's been 20 minutes.
Yeah.
What has he been doing? We've experienced hours of time with the good guys.
Yeah.
Why? What is up with this time shift here?
Totally forgot. Yeah, that was some crazy bad editing.
It was such a jarring edit. I was like, I thought they would have just assumed that he went to the general and got what he needed to get. Why do we have to see that?
Yeah, and despite all of the shenanigans, all of the poor performances, there is one performance that takes the cake, and I'm so glad you brought him up, and that has to be the general of whatever base we are attacking, the bad guys attacking. I have not seen a non-relevant character, a side character, even beyond side character, just the worst performance I can imagine.
My wife.
I can't, no matter what the guy says, my kid, my wife, no.
It sounds like Borat.
My wife. My kid, oh no. I've never.
That matched with his son's facial expression, which looked like the kid from Nacho Libre just going like, oh, cuckoo.
Why is there a button not only to drop the anchor, but to drop the anchor from the boat, to completely just yoink the anchor?
To yeet the anchor.
One button drops it, and then one button releases the chains completely. That can't be a real button on a boat, right?
Do we have any fans that are boat aficionados that can answer this question?
But we're talking commercial anchor ship. Like, there's no way. I don't believe, like, it's crazy. And how does Jason Statham know how to drive a boat?
Also, wait, talking about vehicles, why when Sylvester Stallone crashes the plane, his body is somehow bigger than the plane itself? And everyone else that is standing near this plane, they didn't size the plane at all.
No. Take this. Remember when they first get shot with a missile?
Oh, and they're like, what's that?
Someone's like, something must have hit the plane.
There were no flares at all. They definitely got shot and they should have died.
They got shot and the plane just took it like a champ. It feels like one of those video games where you have like 3 bars that you can get hit, and the first bar, I think our shields are down. That sucks.
But moving on to final thoughts and ratings.
Yeah. I'm actually like a little bit sadder that I went out to the movies today. I'm disgusted that we as human beings have probably stepped back 20 years in our development. This is the biggest tragedy that has occurred in Brooklyn, that I went to the Alpine to watch Expend4bles on its opening night.
Nothing against the Alpine.
Nothing against the Alpine. If you go see this movie, go fuck yourself. That is the only words I genuinely, if you like this movie, go fuck yourself. If you think that there is anything meritable about anything that occurred on the big screen, to the team who made this movie, fuck you. To anybody who participated in this movie, I hope you stub your toe. I hope you drop something valuable and it shatters into a million pieces. Because for what you are putting the American public through, who are going to this thinking that there might be a chance that this is a movie, shame on you. And may you never produce anything ever again. And that is my review. Oh,
You forgot a number.
1 star.
My review is very similar. As a fan of the series, I can only quote The Godfather and say, look what they did to my boy. They massacred it, because for a little while it was okay, and then for a long while it was not. I had some shining hope when the motorcycles came out, but that was about it. It was just really all over the place. The effects really just bring this down. The camaraderie isn't there. We need that old cast back. If anything, better casting choices could have been made. Better writing could have helped this, but it just, I'm always wanting to save movies, and sometimes you just gotta let them go, and it was hard to let this one go. It's a 1 out of 5 for me.
I'm actually sad.
I can see it.
I'm so upset.
Let me break out the cash right now. I'll pay you right back for this travesty.
This has been an episode of Take 303. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at take.303. We're always posting content up there. You can see our reels and some sneak peek previews of the episodes coming out, just like this one. This week's question of the week is, who is one of your favorite 90s or 80s action star? Is it Sylvester Stallone? Is it Arnold? Is it somebody else? Let us know in the comment section. And this week's poll question is, if you somehow are a fan of this franchise or have seen any of the Expend4bles movies, which of them is your favorite? And by my request, the 4th one will not be up there as an option, because you sons of you people out there will pick it just to get me going. So yeah, it'll be 1, 2, or 3. 4 will not be an option. We'll put something else for the 4th option. Maybe you can put the poop emoji as maybe just as the 4th option. So let us know what you think. Next week's episode is Dumb Money and Dog Day Afternoon. This has been an episode of Take 303. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.